Hare Krishna, everyone. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kala Chandri Radha Kala Chandri Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Should we still do the invocation verses? Okay. Okay, whoever knows it can say it along with me. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and in service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. So, today we are continuing with the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, 9th canto, 10th chapter. And we're going to be covering text 24 through 28. And this is a very interesting section. So previously, Ravana was killed by Lord Ramachandra, who pulled his bow back and released his arrow, and it pierced his heart. And it said all the 10 heads of Ravana were vomiting blood, and all the residents of Lanka cried, "Alas, alas," as Ravana had fallen. There's a very nice painting of that in the books. Yeah.
Thereafter all the women whose husbands had fallen in the battle, headed by Mandodari, the wife of Ravana, came out of Lanka. Continuously crying, they approached the dead bodies of Ravana and other Rakshasas. Since the striking their breasts in affliction because their husbands had been killed by the arrows of Lakshman, and the women embraced their respective husbands and cried piteously in voices appealing to everyone.
O my Lord, O Master, you epitomize trouble for others, and therefore you are called Ravana. But now that you have been defeated, we also are defeated. For without you, the state of Lanka has been conquered by the enemy. To whom will it go for shelter?
We can read, or I'll just read the purport for that really quick. Ravana's wife, Mandodari, and other wives knew very well how cruel a person Ravana was. The very word Ravana means one who causes crying for others. Ravana continuously caused trouble for others, but when his sinful activities culminated in giving trouble to Sita Devi, he was killed by Lord Ramachandra. And we can recite the Sanskrit for text 27. Do we have it up? Okay. Navai Veda Mahabhaga Pavan Kama Vashamgata Tejo Nu Bhavam Sitaya Yena Nito Dasham Imam. Would like to chant? Navai Veda Mahabhaga Bhagavata Tejanu Bhavam Sitaya Anita Dashamimam Aga Bhavan Kama Vasham Gata Tejanu Bhavam Sitaya Yena Nito Dashamimam Navai Veda Mahabhaga Bhavan Kama Vasham Gata Tejanu Bhavam Sitaya Yena Nito Dashamimam Navai Veda Mahabhaga Bhavan Kama Vasamgata Tejanu Bhavam Sitaya Yena Nito Dashamimam. Alright, word for word all together. Na, not. Vai, indeed. Veda, did know. Mahabhaga, O greatly fortunate one. Pavan, yourself. Kama Vasham, influenced by lusty desires. Gata, having become. Teja, by influence. Anubhavam, as a result of such influence. Sitayaha, of Mother Sita. Yena, by which. Nita, brought into. Dasham, condition. Imam, like this. Destruction. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O greatly fortunate one, you came under the influence of lusty desires, and therefore you could not understand the influence of Mother Sita. Now because of her curse, you have been reduced to this state, having been killed by Lord Ramachandra. So again, Ravana's wife, the most evil person at that time's wife, Mandodari, her and the other wives of the Rakshasas, they run out of the kingdom to the battlefield, to the bodies of their husbands, and they're all lamenting. And yeah, we're seeing the effect of war, that all these women are suffering because of the impious activity of their husbands. They're running out and they're crying piteously in voices appealing to everyone. And so Mandodari is now speaking to Ravana, saying, because you came under the influence of lusty desires, you could not understand the influence of Mother Sita. Now because of her curse, you have been reduced to this state, having been killed by Lord Ramachandra. Could someone please read the first paragraph of the purport?
Not only was Mother Sita powerful, but any woman who follows in the footsteps of Mother Sita can also become similarly powerful. There are many instances of this in the history of Vedic literature. Whenever we find a description of ideal chaste women, Mother Sita is among them. Mandodari, the wife of Ravana, was also very chaste. Similarly, Draupadi was also one of the 5 exalted chaste women. As a man must follow great personalities like Brahma and Narada, a woman must follow the path of such ideal women as Sita, Mandodari and Draupadi. By staying chaste and faithful to their husband, a woman enriches herself with supernatural power. It is a moral principle that one should not be influenced by the lusty desires for another's wife.
Matravat paradareshu. You can just skip it.
Matravat paradareshu. An intelligent person must look upon another's wife as being like his mother. This is a moral injection from Chanakya Shloka.
Matravat paradareshu paradravyeshu dostarvat atmavat sarvabhuteshu ya pashyati sapandita.
One who considers another's wife as his mother, another's possession as a lump of dirt, and treats all living beings as he would himself, is considered to be learned. Thus Ravana was condemned not only by Lord Ramachandra, but even by his own wife Mandodari. Because she was a chaste woman, she knew the power of another chaste woman, especially such a wife as Mother Sita Devi.
Okay, thank you. Sure, let's read text 28.
O pleasure of the Rakshas dynasty, because of you the state of Lanka and also we ourselves now have no protector. By your deeds you have made your body fit to be eaten by vultures and your soul fit to go to hell.
Purport. One who follows the path of Ravana is condemned in 2 ways. His body is fit to be eaten by dogs and vultures, and the soul goes to hell. As stated by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 16:19, Tan aham dvishata kruran samsareshu naradaman shipyapya jasrim ashubhan asuriv eva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Thus the destination of godless atheists such as Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and Dantavakra is a hellish condition of life. Mandodari, the wife of Ravana, could understand all this because she was a chaste woman. Although lamenting for the death of her husband, she knew what would happen to his body and soul. For although one cannot see directly with one's material eyes, one can see with the eyes of knowledge. Pashyanti jnana chakshusha. In Vedic history, there are many instances of how one becomes godless and is condemned by the laws of nature. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, it's a very interesting section. We are, I really love how in the Bhagavatam we learn from such a diverse range of personalities. We learn from the emperor of the demons, Bali Maharaj. We learn from Vritrasura, who is eating all the demigods and trampling them. And we learn from Pingala, the prostitute. We learn from the wife of Ravana now, the wife of the greatest demon in that age, Mandodari. So, yeah, the theme of this class is the supernatural power of women. So we can go into that a little bit. We are we're seeing two things, that because of Mandodari's chastity to her husband, she was given knowledge. She was given this Pashyanti jnana chakshusha. And we're seeing on the other end, because of the offense to Sita Devi, Ravana was destroyed. I heard a few times Hanumat Prashak Maharaj, he likes to quote this story where in India they had like an art competition and the theme was Mahabharata. And so the second place was this picture of Bhishma. And Bhishma, he looked very fierce in the battlefield and every single hair was perfectly painted and it was just a wonderful picture. And then he says, but first place was a picture of Draupadi in her room holding a candle, and her shadow was death. So it was quite interesting how we see that because of the disrespect to Sita Devi and because of the disrespect to Draupadi, these wars are so disastrous. It said that when Draupadi had left her hair undone, she had essentially sentenced the Kauravas to death because of the offense that they made to her. So this is the result of this kama vasham. So because of the influence of lust, Ravana had been destroyed by Mother Sita. And we find this in our own lives, is that the material energy is made to embarrass us. It's so embarrassing whenever we fall under these lower modes. It's so shameful. It's so degrading. It's not a pretty picture. Specifically lust, it's meant to embarrass the living entity, like how we're seeing here. His uncontrolled lust had destroyed his entire dynasty. Another interesting point here is that we're seeing that Mandodari is the ideal example for all women to follow because of her chastity. And so we might wonder, if she's married to such a horrible person as Ravana, how could she be our example of chastity? How could she be someone that all women should follow? Does anyone have any thoughts on that topic of Mandodari? It's saying in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, a woman must follow the path of such ideal women as Sita, Mandodari, and Draupadi. So, how do you interpret that, to follow the path of the wife of Ravana?
Wasn't there a pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita that there was this one devotee who was criticizing the work of, was it Sanatana Goswami? He was criticizing his writing, and basically Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned indirectly that anyone who criticizes like that without following the acharya, that they are considered to be a prostitute. He didn't call him one directly, but he referred to him. So it's even there in the dealings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his stalwart devotees, that they were advised to be chaste in their mind. So Mandodari, because she was always very chaste, she never thought of any other men but Ravana. And she was his lawful wife. That was the wife he married. And she never had any other connection. And she had so much austerity because Ravana was constantly bringing home the wives of other men. And it was huge austerity for her. So that austerity built and built and built and built. And, finally she knew that her husband was condemned. So that's the thought I have.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so we're seeing that by adherence to a vrata, by adherence to a yagya, one becomes very powerful. We also saw similarly with Gandhari in the Mahabharata that because her husband was blind, she had chosen to wear a blindfold. And that made her so powerful that when she removed her blindfold, whoever she looked upon could become practically invincible. So, yes, this vivaha yagya, this marriage yagya, it has a very powerful result if one can be very faithful and very chaste in this regard. We see that while Mandodari was blessed with knowledge of the soul, knowledge of the difference between matter and spirit, because of her following this strict chastity, this strict adherence to their marriage, she was glorified. While Ravana, who did the opposite, Ravana had, he was like the embodiment of illicit sex practically. He was constantly kidnapping other princesses and queens from different kingdoms. This had degraded him so much that his body is fit to be eaten by vultures and his soul is made to go to hell. So this is the power of staying true to the vows that one makes, staying true to the principles that one makes. And this is also very appropriate for our spiritual life. That when we stay true to our vows, when we stay true to our principles, it makes us very powerful. It makes us able to do things that are seemingly inconceivable because we're empowered by Krishna. Something I found very interesting is that in our Krishna consciousness, sometimes we can have this idea that we have to open, 1,000 temples, and we have to be the best book distributor, and we have to, be the temple president, or the best cook, or we have to do something so amazing. We have to have our name written on a plaque somewhere. Oh, this devotee did this tremendous thing. But we learn that just to stay true to the vows that we take at initiation is no small feat. That is a very glorious deed that a devotee can do. It's the most glorious. And simply by adhering to that, we see that devotees who have been in the movement 50 years or so, because they may not have become a big GBC or a big guru or things like that, but they have saintliness to them because of their adherence to their vows over such a long time. They have such a strong power. So this is a similar principle that we're hearing from Mandodari, is this chastity to our spiritual master, this strict adherence to our vows. It can make one so powerful like Sita Devi. Also, we see that different vrats like Akadashi and Kartik, they also similarly make the performer very powerful, not only in a material sense, but in a spiritual sense. The austerity, it makes one able to be very powerful in controlling their mind and senses, but it makes them it brings their consciousness to a very spiritual level. So yeah, we've seen from the verses today how the influence of lusty desires will degrade us. They will pull us down. They will make us fit to be eaten by vultures and dogs. And chastity and faithfulness and strict adherence to regulative principles and moral principles will elevate us. So Srila Prabhupada is giving a principle from Chanakya Pandit that one should look upon another's wife as being his mother. This is the moral injunction from Chanakya Shloka. So, yeah, one who considers another's wife as his mother and another's possessions as a lump of dirt and treats all living entities as he would himself is considered to be learned. So, yeah, some people, they think, oh, this means that, if there's like a 15-year-old, new Western girl who walks in the temple, we have to be like, oh, mother, mother Sarah. it can sometimes, weird them out, perhaps. So this can be an internal meditation, if we like, for those that we don't necessarily have to call every woman as mother if it is something that makes them uncomfortable or something that they don't prefer. I've heard before that a gentleman calls a woman what she likes to be called. If she likes to be called Prabhu, then we can call her Prabhu, and if she likes to be called mother, then we can call her mother. But this is a state of consciousness that we see another's wife as our mother. We see another's possessions as dirt. We're not hankering for the things of other people. And that will make us learn it. That will make us strong in our endeavors. And it also goes for the woman that they see another woman's husband as not an object of their desire, not an object of their sense gratification. They have that reverence. So this is what I had gotten from these texts. Any comments or further discussion? Mother Tulsi Saki and then Sneha.
Hare Krishna Drishta Prabhu, thank you for speaking on a topic so nicely that may appear, but you're very learned, so you spoke so nicely on this topic. What was coming to my mind was because this is the month of Kartik, and when we are worshipping, we're always thinking, those two fingers too short. One is our effort, and the other is Krishna sanctioning or, willing. So when we take the example of Mandodari, she had made her vows that she was able to maintain despite her knowledge that Ravana was such a demon. So are we to assume that internally she was meditating on Vishnu to help her keep her vows? Where was she getting her strength? Or how was she getting empowered to maintain her vows?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'm not sure about the history of Mandodari, or if she was a devotee or not. We do see that even persons who aren't devotees, like Gandhari and others, they are able to have high levels of mystic power and high levels of austerity and tolerance because of the age that they're in. Different ages, they were more austere back then. But I'm not exactly sure. Does anyone have any knowledge on if Mandodari was empowered by Krishna in that way? Okay. Thank you, Sneha. Jai. Yeah, and I found it very interesting. Huh? Yeah. She worshipped Parvati? Okay. Where's that from? Google? Yeah. So I I wasn't sure I would repeat into the mic unless there was like a certified source for that. Sorry. Yeah, one small point on that. I found it very interesting that just because Ravana was doing the wrong thing doesn't mean that Mandodari couldn't do the right thing. So in our life we see that sometimes when others around us are acting improperly, we think that we have to stoop to their level, or that we have to also degrade ourselves, or that we also have to act inappropriately. But even in such a difficult circumstance, she was able to remain in this saintly position, showing that it doesn't matter what circumstance we're in. We can always choose to do the right thing, and we'll be glorified for it, we'll be empowered for it, while the others, Krishna will do what will have to be done. They'll go their own course. But it's our choice how we conduct ourselves. It's our choice how we progress. Sneha, you had a comment?
Yeah, so on this topic, this is a very important topic, especially for the women now. One story that I remember is when Hanuman comes in search of Sita. He mistakes Mandodari for Sita. So that itself shows the austerity and the sternness in her spiritual activities, where, just by the sight, even though her husband is a demon and he is very assertive of all the 10 heads, like it can be lust, greed, anger. He assertively says that, yes, that is what it is, but Mandodari strongly, was very stern in her spiritual activities, and just by the sight you can, if you look at a woman and if you mistake her for Sita, I think that itself speaks volumes about her. And she was not. It took a lot of Hanuman had to observe her. That only when she was sleeping and when she was calm, he was able to make out a woman in distress can never sleep with this much of calmness. That is how he was able to deduce that this is not Sita, this is Mandodari. So that speaks the chastity of a woman just by her sight. No talks, nothing, just by observing. I think that speaks volumes. Irrespective of how your husband is, how your environment is, we don't have to become the product of that environment.
Right, thank you. Yeah, and it's additionally very interesting that we might externally look at a devotee's situation and we might say, oh, they're in such a, demonic situation. They're in such a, bad position. And we might make assumptions in that way. But something Bhagavatam is always showing us is that these saints, they are in very peculiar situations sometimes, like Bali Maharaj, like Vritrasura, and like Mandodari, where they are very much in the inner circle of demonic society, but still at heart they are adhering to these higher principles. They're adhering to righteousness in this way. Yeah, and thank you for bringing up that topic, Sneha. It may not be so relevant in this room right now, but in the Western society, this is a big topic and a very sensitive topic, because there's just so much trouble in the lives of the men and women. The divorce rate is so high, practically everyone is cheating on everyone else. It's quite a disaster in the modern day American materialistic society, where this value of chastity is it's practically gone. It's considered a virtue if so many men are admiring you, or you are the object of attention. That's how the Western materialistic society has framed it for their sense gratification. So this is something we should be knowledgeable of, and we should very much put great respect on this value of chastity in our lives. You have a comment or question?
I have two questions, but before I say my questions, I want to think of my mom because this very much reminds me of my mom. I was a kid when she was like in similar situation, like with like I didn't understand what she was going through, but this very like opens it up for me, basically. So I know she can hear me because she has passed, and so I want to appreciate her for who she was. And so my question is, we know that Ravana was worshipping Lord Shiva, but in the text he is referred as godless. What's it called? Godless. Yeah.
What?
He is referred to as a godless.
Yeah, godless atheist.
Atheist.
Yeah.
There we go.
Demoniac.
Why is that?
Yeah. Krishna, he describes in the Bhagavad Gita that people will approach the devatas, the administrators of the universe, for different purposes. So Ravana, his purpose in approaching Lord Shiva was not for a good cause. It was to gain mystic powers. It was to gain dominance over the material energy. And so in that way, it was not so much, it wasn't theistic, his approach to Shiva. And we see that often when people worship the devatas, they are looking for temporary material things. It may be a generalization, of course, but that is generally the status, is that when, like for example, we worship Krishna simply to love him, for bhakti. We worship Krishna to serve him. Versus in other places and other temples, it's like, you go to him for your visa, you go to him for a good husband, a good wife, you go to this devata, you worship Saraswati to get good grades, you worship Lakshmi to get good wealth. So these things, they're not actually theistic. They are a distraction on our path to bhakti. They, and as we see, even the demons know how to worship to get what they want. And we see in other faiths too that people are able to very easily pose as a religious person and simply use that in order to exploit others as well. So this is what defines the theistic or the atheistic mentality. Any thoughts? Did it?
Yes. It was like very clear. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
My other question is when I can't remember which woman, but she it says that she had her hair wearing down, and so she that was called an offense. I don't know if I understood the text correctly or not.
So it was described in Mahabharata that essentially when a woman's hair was like tied up or so, it meant that she was like married or something like that. And so when Draupadi was offended by the Kauravas, when they had dragged her into the assembly and tried to disgrace her, but she was protected by Krishna, her husbands did not help her. They had been lost in the gambling match. They were considered slaves, and so they were unable to help their wife. And so because Arjuna and Bhima and the other Pandavas were not able to help Draupadi, she had left her hair down to signify, what's the point of a husband who can't protect me? So in this way, the Battle of Kurukshetra had happened because of that offense to Draupadi. That was essentially the turning point where now we have to go to war because of what you had done to Draupadi.
Okay, thank you. But it has nothing to do with like how a woman should be wearing her hair for the temple or what.
Yeah, it was more symbolic that by her doing that, she was showing to her husbands, you failed to protect me, and thus, until you take action upon my aggressors. This is where I stand. And thus, Bhima, he promised that he will, that he will kill them, and then later on he promises that Draupadi can stand on Ashwatthama's, I think his head or his body, and his severed head, and wash her hair in his blood. Yeah, so this is what Kshatriyas do. When a Kshatriya must protect. A Kshatriya must protect their honor, especially. So this is why the battle of Kurukshetra had happened. Yeah. Manjari Gopika.
Hare Krishna. I'm going to make a comment, and then I'm going to read Rupanuga Prabhu's question because he posted in the chat. So thank you for a wonderful class. And speaking of Rupanuga Prabhu, this class reminded me of a class that he gave probably like a year and a half ago, and it was also on chaste women in Vedic literature and how powerful they were. But there was one personal thing that he shared in that class that I always remember. He said, women show their chastity with their devotion to their husband. And then he shared how he had an exchange with His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, who is Rupanuga Prabhu's spiritual master. Rupanuga Prabhu shared that he had been reading something or hearing something from a non-devotee source. I think it was like some kind of yogi. He was a little interested in this stuff. And His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj found out, and he said, Rupanuga Prabhu, I'm surprised at you. And he essentially chastised him, communicating the message that, we have this relationship, we have this spiritual relationship, and I the spiritual master is giving you everything that you need. And so I really appreciated that story, because it's a reminder. So Rupa Prabhu said, women, they show their chastity to their husbands, men should show their chastity to the spiritual master. Of course, in ISKCON, that's for both. But I thought that was a really nice point to not go looking outside. And I even hear that from my spiritual master too, in terms of Srila Prabhupada's books. Sometimes devotees think they get allured by these other texts, that, especially if they haven't been translated into English, or of these topics that Prabhupada doesn't talk about much, and they want to go into that. But Srila Prabhupada has given us everything that we need. His books are transcendental. So to be faithful to him is really important for our spiritual life, to show that chastity. Okay, and now transitioning thank you for letting me share my thoughts. Rupanuga Prabhu wrote, this is his question for you. Since Ravana is an incarnation of Jai or Vijay, how is it that he brings so much suffering to other apparently innocent persons, even Sita Devi?
Jai, thank you, Rupanuga Prabhu, for the nice question. We do understand that Sita, I was hearing a lecture from Srila Prabhupada, I think just the other day, where he was saying that Ravana had not actually taken Sita, he took a Maya Sita. Sita is non-different from Srimati Radharani. Sita is the internal energy, and an expansion of Sita is the external energy. So what Ravana had taken was actually not Sita. You can't, a materialist is unable to take the pleasure potency away from Krishna, but they may try. And that's what this material world is that we have acted like Ravana and tried to take the pleasure potency of Krishna for our own enjoyment, and it's not actually possible. So thus we are left trying to enjoy the material energy. Instead of Sita, we are enjoying the three-pronged trident of Durga. She's poking us with birth, death, old age, and disease, with the tree, with the three kleshas, the trident of the three types of sufferings. Yeah, adhyatmic, adhibautic, and adhidaivik. Essentially, the suffering of the demigods that they inflict through weather and different things like that. The suffering of others upon us, like, other humans, sometimes bugs, sometimes animals, and then the sufferings from our own selves, adhyatmic. So that's on the point of Sita Devi. And yeah, we do see that Krishna, his pastimes are meant to enact the purpose of delivering the pious and annihilating the miscreants. And so these miscreants, they have been arranged to be killed by the Supreme Lord. It's not that they are some collateral damage or they are some innocent bystander that Krishna accidentally killed. No, but this was his plan. This was his intention, was to liberate the people of Lanka along with rescuing Sita Devi. So in this way, Jaya Vijay, they were serving the Lord's mission in order to be the ruler of Lanka. And in this way, Lord Ramachandra can enact his pastimes for our benefit, for their benefit, and for the benefit of the whole world. Jai. It's 8:30. Are there any final comments? Jaishnav. Woo!
You were saying that Ravana took the Maya Sita, right?
Mhm.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it also says remember in the Brahmana, he was sad and he didn't eat lunch when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called him to the house. That he was confused that Ravana took the real Sita, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees in Kurma Puran also that it's written that Maya Sita was taken by Ravana, not the real Sita. It also says in Kurma Puran.
Jai. Thank you, Jaishnav. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, a Brahmana was disturbed. Which Brahmana? Oh. Yeah. On his South Indian tour, they were disturbed that Sita had been kidnapped, and Lord Chaitanya explained that in the Kurma Purana, it said that it was actually the Maya form of Sita, not her original form. Okay. Jai, I think we can end here. Thank you all for your tolerance and attention to Lord Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpa Tubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Lord Ramachandra ki jai, jai, jai. Sita Devi ki jai, Mandodari ki jai.